All right. If you're a dedicated rider, I'm going to bet you're all too familiar with that nagging, just persistent pain in your hips or your lower back. It's one of those things that just seems to come with the territory, right? But what if I told you the real cause and the solution is probably not what you think it is? Okay, let's get into it.
Now, I know that's a pretty provocative question, but honestly, it gets right to the heart of this strange paradox in the equestrian world. And believe me, it's the absolute key to understanding why so many riders are dealing with pain.
So, yeah, this is what we're calling the rider's paradox. It's this huge, glaring difference between how we care for the horse and how we care for, well, the human athlete in the partnership. I mean, just think about it for a second. When it comes to the horse, the care is totally proactive. We invest in everything: chiropractic, acupuncture, laser therapy, bodywork, all to keep our partners moving well and performing their best. But for ourselves, the approach is almost always reactive. We wait for the pain to show up. We push through the discomfort. We just try to work around it until it gets so bad we just can't ignore it anymore. And you know what? This reactive approach, it has some serious consequences. Take a look at this number: 88%. That's the high-end prevalence of low back pain reported among equestrian athletes. Let that sink in. This isn't some rare problem. For riders, it is practically an epidemic.
So the big question is why? Why is this so incredibly common? Well, to figure that out, we've got to look at how the act of writing itself physically shapes your body and, crucially, your nervous system over time.
In most sports, you're the one generating the movement. But riding, it's a sport of constant, and I mean constant adaptation. The horse moves first, and your body's entire job is to react, to balance, to stabilize on top of this powerful moving animal. And doing that day in and day out trains your nervous system in a very, very specific way. And this right here, this is the chain reaction that happens literally thousands of times in a single ride. Step 1, the horse moves. Step 2, your body's top priority becomes balance. And over time, what happens? Step 3, your hips learn to kind of under-contribute, which means, step 4, your low back is forced to overwork and pick up all that slack. It's a super predictable pattern of compensation. Okay, so right now you're probably thinking, fine, I have pain, I'll just go to physical therapy, problem solved, right? But here's where things get a little complicated. We really need to talk about why traditional rehab so often just hits a wall for riders.
The core issue here is a fundamental mismatch. See, traditional rehab is actually great at targeting the symptom, a weak glute, a tight hip flexor. But what it often misses is the real cause. And that's usually a faulty movement strategy that's been programmed by your brain. This deep-seated, one-sided pattern that's forcing those muscles to get weak or tight to begin with.
And this is so important to understand. If you just layer strength training on top of a body that's still using that flawed, lopsided movement strategy, you're not fixing the problem. Not at all. You're actually just getting stronger at compensating. It's like you're reinforcing the very bad habits that caused the pain in the first place. Okay, so this brings us to the real missing piece of the puzzle, the secret, if you will, that unlocks lasting relief and better performance for riders. And here's the spoiler. It's not really about the muscles. It's about the master controller of everything, the nervous system. So let's talk about something called the vestibular system. The simplest way to think about it is like your body's internal GPS. It's this amazing little system in your inner ear that tells your brain exactly where you are in space. And based on that info, it dictates how to organize your posture and how to distribute force through your body. It is absolutely fundamental to all movement. And right here, this is the big aha moment. When the input from that internal GPS gets disrupted, and I mean even just slightly, the brain defaults to these protective, guarded movement strategies. And guess what? Those strategies almost always involve loading one side of your body way more than the other. That is the true root cause of that deep-seated one-sidedness we were talking about. So what's the solution to all this? Well, it's actually beautifully simple. We just need to circle all the way back to that very first question we asked and embrace a whole new philosophy. Start training yourself with the exact same proactive mindset you use for your horse. What does that look like? It means shifting from that reactive rehab model to a proactive prehab model. So instead of waiting for pain to basically force you into action, you start addressing the small imbalances, the little asymmetries, before they blow up into big problems. And the approach here is just super logical and progressive. First things first, you address the root cause by targeting your balance and that all-important vestibular system. Second, you work to restore symmetrical, even movement. And only then, once you've built that solid foundation, do you start to layer on strength. See? That's how you build real, lasting resilience.
Look, the goal here isn't just to get out of pain for a few weeks. The real objective, the real prize, is to create a rider who can move more efficiently, who can tolerate the huge demands of the sport for years and years to come. Getting out of pain? That's just the starting line. Durability, confidence, that's the finish line.
So I want to leave you with one final thought. Pain shouldn't be the thing that triggers you to take care of yourself. Better performance should be. Durability should be. Being able to enjoy this sport for the long haul should be. We invest so much in our horses. So the real question you have to ask yourself is, are you finally willing to invest in the other, equally important half of the partnership? Are you ready to invest in the rider